Subscribe to Motoroids for the most in-depth and detailed car and bike reviews. Hit that bell icon and you will be notified before everyone else. Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids.com. My name is Amit Changani and the RR310 here has been with us for the past 2 months now. And we have ridden it for more than 2,000 kilometers, and we think we are in a position to answer a lot of your questions that we could not earlier because we did not have first-hand experience with the bike for a very long time. Now we have it and we are going to answer all the questions that you have. Now to start off, a lot of people have been asking us as to what the maintenance costs and the running costs of this motorcycle are. And I have done a very detailed review of this motorcycle before where I talked about the prices of the service as well as the running cost if you take into consideration the fuel expenses and a lot of other things, and you can find the link of that review above and you would be able to get all your answers regarding the service costs and the fuel efficiency and what the bike will cost you over a period of 1 year in the link above. However, if you're interested in the prices of the spares, you'll find all the prices in the description below, so do have a look there and you'll be able to get the prices for all the spares. So that answers the maintenance and the spares part of the questions that you have been asking us. In terms of fuel efficiency, generally what happens is when you use a motorcycle or a car for a longer period of time, there is a difference and surprisingly enough, after riding it for 2,000 kilometers, the fuel efficiency that we have been getting has been consistent with what we declared earlier, and it will vary between 26 to 32 kilometers to the liter depending on how you ride it. So 26 or 27 is something which is what you will get if you're riding it fast and hard. 30 is something that you'd probably get if you're riding it with a softer throttle, and it can go all the way up to 38, but 26 to 30 is the range that the fuel efficiency average meter is going to show you if you are going to ride it sometimes very hard, sometimes with a lighter throttle. So that's the fuel efficiency figure for you. Now, one very important aspect of any motorcycle is its build quality, and that's one area where this motorcycle absolutely impresses. And to be very specific about one question that a lot of people have been asking us, whether these bolts right here on the fairing, do they loosen up and does the fairing fall apart? Because quite a few of you have been asking us whether this is a problem with this motorcycle. Now, we cannot vouch for the next 1.5 years or 2 years. This motorcycle has been with us for the past 2 months and this motorcycle has not been serviced yet, and we have abused it. It's been used in the rain and we have taken it for really long rides. Despite all of that, there is absolutely no squeak or rattle from this motorcycle. The fairing is not going anywhere, at least with our motorcycle that's been established. It's very, very sturdily built, and I personally took it on a 500 kilometer ride where I really took it to the countryside. I took it off the road and to some really, really badly broken roads with big potholes. However, the inverted forks up front, the rear suspension, the chassis and the whole body of the bike took it so well. So that's something that is very commendable about this motorcycle. And in terms of build quality, I don't think I have anything to complain about. And if you have any inhibitions, from my experience, you should not be worried because it's indeed been very well built. It's built to BMW specifications, so you actually are riding a bike built to BMW specifications. You can look at the wheels, you can look at the fork, you can look at a lot of other parts, the exhaust. So this bike actually has been built very, very well, and you don't really need to bother about the build quality of this one. It's really, really very well built. Another question that a lot of you have been asking us is about the pillion seat, whether it's comfortable and usable. As we mentioned before, it doesn't look usable. It isn't for very long distances, and just to know how good or bad it is, I rode here today for about 40 kilometers on this pillion seat. And my experience was that for the first 20 kilometers it's okay, but after that these contours they are not very comfortable. It's not a very big or wide or plush kind of a seat. So for a pillion 15-20 kilometers within the city at slow speeds, it's fine, but if you're going to go any distance above that, it's going to be uncomfortable. And also the fact that there is no grab rail by default is a bit of an issue. However, although this is fiber, but if you really want to grab onto it, I was surprised to know that this is very sturdy. It doesn't move, and if you really want to grab onto it, you can. And for situations where you just want to grab onto something, maybe in an emergency kind of a situation, this can be of help. It's not entirely useless, and the sturdiness of this panel is actually very, very good. So that's something that I got to know today, and that's something that I wanted to share with you. Now the wheels, as you would have noticed, they are the same as the G310R, and they are extremely well built. With a lot of other motorcycles, you would see that initially there is a bit of an issue with wheels. Sometimes they break, sometimes they have a problem with the denting and all of that. No such issues with this one. It has been taken to some really bad roads and it went into potholes very viciously a few times. and nothing at all happened. So the wheel quality, as I mentioned before, like the other parts of the bike, is phenomenal. One small bit about the motorcycle that is a little bit worrisome is this paint coming off from this area, which I'm not very fond of. This should not have happened, although I've heard that the first lot of these motorcycles had some issue here and this has been fixed now, but with our motorcycle this is a problem nonetheless. However, if you look at the way these mirrors function, they are absolutely amazing, and even after using them for 2000 kilometers, they have not loosened up or anything. They're still very sturdy, they don't vibrate, and they give you a very good view of what's happening behind. So in that sense, it's been built very well, although there is a bit of a corrosion here, which also brings me to the headlight. And the headlight intensity is fine. The low beam intensity could definitely have been better. The high beam intensity is pretty good. It's actually very intense. However, it's the alignment of the light which is not right. So there probably could have been a better alignment of the light. It would have helped. It's an intense light, but it's not the most effective one, and it's better than some of the new LED lights that we have seen, like the R15. The intensity and everything is better than that, but still it leaves room for improvement and could have been a little better. Now, one other thing that has happened is that we have ridden these motorcycles mostly in the rains, in very heavy rains in and around Mumbai, and although water has not seeped in anywhere, you see a little bit of frosting in parts like this here, and a little bit of frosting on the instrument console as well. So that's the only thing that we have noticed. Apart from that, it's been ridden in heavy rains throughout, but absolutely no issues whatsoever on this one, and it just kept on going without any complaints whatsoever. So very reliable bike. The grip from the tires in the rains also is pretty good. It's dependable. The ABS definitely comes in handy in emergency situations. If sometime you have to grab a handful, it may just send your bike sliding. That doesn't happen with this one. The brakes are very reliable. A dual channel ABS setup is very useful, and along with the nice tires, I think this whole setup has proven its worth to us. We have ridden it in conditions which were very treacherous. We can vouch for the stability and the grip and the control on this motorcycle. Full marks to the brakes as well, which are very sharp, very reliable, and the overall setup, the geometry and the way this bike feels makes it a very forgiving motorcycle. So if you're going to ride it fast and there is a surprise, and if you do something which is not entirely within your control, I think this bike leaves you with some margin for error. So in that sense, it's a very forgiving bike, unlike a few other bikes which probably would make you pay for your mistake. This one won't, and it gives you a solid amount of buffer. The seating position and the comfort on this motorcycle is very good, and the fact that it can take bad roads in its stride so well is something that makes it a good tourer. A lot of you have asked us that question, and we have ridden it for long distances, and we really can vouch for its comfort and its reliability and its refinement over long distances, and that really makes it a very good motorcycle if you want to go long distance. And this really lends itself very well to riding in a variety of conditions, and that makes it a very accomplished motorcycle. One more very important thing that I wanted to bring to your notice is that I didn't use this motorcycle for about 1.5 weeks. This was just lying there unused in my garage, and after 1.5 weeks, when I went there and I thumped the starter, it came to life without any splutter, without any resistance, without any problem whatsoever. So in that sense, this motorcycle really doesn't have any cold start issues, and it comes to life with just a simple dab of the starter button, and that's something says a lot about its engine and the way it's been built and finished. Now, in terms of comfort, ride comfort, a lot of you have asked us whether the ride quality on this one is good or not so good. So we have been riding it on the third stiffest setting, not the most stiff, but the third stiffest setting, and you still have 7 notches to go softer, and I don't really think that there is any requirement for that for my riding style at least, because the comfort on this one is just sufficient. I do not find it discomforting at all, so you can actually go down further if you wish to, but the suspension on this one is pretty good and no complaints on that front either. Also, the quality of the paint on the chassis, on a lot of badly built motorcycles you'll see parts which start rusting, or you can see signs of corrosion. But if you look closely on the chassis, even if you look to the inner parts, you'd realize that it's been actually very well built, and you don't see the corrosion happening despite having ridden this motorcycle mostly in the rains, and that too in Mumbai rains. So that again is a testament to this motorcycle's fine build quality. Now another important thing that I would like to mention here is that we have not sent this motorcycle for servicing yet because we wanted to do a review before we sent it for servicing. So the only problem that we have been facing is that the chain has gotten a bit loose and it's making a bit of a noise, which is only normal. Now another question that a lot of you have been asking us is about the vibrations. A lot of people have been complaining about the vibrations on this motorcycle. Are there vibrations? As I've mentioned many times, this engine is not one of the most smooth sounding engines. This engine has a very grunty kind of a character to it. It sounds a little gruff, but that doesn't mean that it's the vibrations. That's the character of the engine. That's the sound that it makes, and you can rev it very hard. It doesn't oppose being revved, and you have to ride it for long distances to understand what I'm saying. Maybe you're mistaking the aural disturbance into something which is more sensory on the skin. Please, maybe you need to think over it again, because the vibrations are very mild and you don't need to worry about them. The sound doesn't translate onto the handlebars or foot pegs. It's just aural. This engine is very, very willing to rev all the way to its red line and beyond. And if you have any inhibitions about this bike's vibrations, there are vibrations, but they are not worth a worry at all. So that's something that I want to be very clear about. Engine heat, the one word answer is no, you don't need to bother about it. This engine doesn't heat up. So just let's stop that debate there. This engine is fine for a single this big. There is no engine heat emanating from there and you don't need to bother about it. Now the one thing that probably is the only negative that I see with this motorcycle, and that actually is not a big negative, but when you start using this motorcycle, you find the clutch rather light, and it would be light if you're going to use it for say 40-45 kilometers or an hour, but over long distances, since this one doesn't have an assist clutch, and this is something that you're going to come to know only after you use it for extended periods of time, and if it's going to be a mix between city and highway riding, after you've ridden for a very, very long day and you come back into the city and you realize that the city roads are completely jammed because you entered at the wrong time, especially if it's Mumbai, you probably will feel that an assist clutch would have been useful. Not saying that it's very hard, but over extended use for 4, 5, 6 hours, you may find the clutch slightly discomforting and you may start feeling that your fingers are aching, and that's something that probably could have been addressed. An assist clutch would be of use in that department, and that's something that the next version of this motorcycle can probably do with. Now there are some very small things which might even sound stupid to few of you, but this is important for a few others amongst us. And one part is that a lot of us want to put a cloth here for quick cleaning and a quick dusting of the motorcycle, so that space is not there. Also, if you look very closely here, you realize that there are stains which have formed because the water seeped in, and now since there is no space for you to put your hand inside, you cannot clean these stains. So you'll probably have to put in a ruler with a tissue paper or something to have this cleaned, since this thing cannot come out very readily. So that's one thing that I wanted to bring to your notice. However, for the cloth part, if you wish to put a cloth to clean the bike, you have some space here, so do make use of this and don't complain. So what else? There is nothing else, and I'm being completely honest here. For this price, motorcycles really don't get any better than this, and I really have to appreciate the kind of effort that TVS has put in this motorcycle. It's a phenomenal machine for the price, and at this point in time, I really cannot recommend a motorcycle better than this to you. It's absolutely fantastic for what it can do. It's very, very well rounded. It can do a lot of things, and unless you're looking for something which is a proper adventure machine, I don't really see what should stop you from buying this one. And from me, even after using it for more than 2,000 kilometers, it gets a big thumbs up, and I really am yet to find a big flaw with this one. And if you like this motorcycle, if you want to buy this one, go ahead and buy it. Whatever you have been told, which apparently is not right about this motorcycle, is false based on my experience. And for the sheer value for money kind of a proposition, I don't really see an alternative to this one. In any case, this is just the first update that we are giving you after 2,000 kilometers of riding, and this bike is going to stay with us for a longer period of time. And in case you have any other questions about this motorcycle, please ask me those questions in the comment section below. I'd be very happy to answer your questions, and we'll be coming back with another review of this motorcycle after say 2.5, 3,000 kilometers, once we have ridden it even more extensively for even longer distances. So on that note, this is my long-term review of the Apache RR310. I hope you liked it, and if you found it useful, do share it with your friends who have similar questions. Do hit the like button if you like the video, subscribe to Motoroids. Until next time then, this is Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and ride safe.